Hello, and welcome to Gus McDoll Strategy and Tactics, and thank you to our subscribers. In this series, we use German missions from the game Firefight to illustrate World War II German tactics at the company level and below. In this episode, we will introduce German tactics and explain the Barbarossa campaign from the Eastern Front expansion to Firefight. We will then review some of the early war Russian weapons we might encounter, finishing with a quick historical refresher on Operation Barbarossa, and start our first battle in the next episode. Please remember to like, subscribe, comment and share the video. And if you want to show your support with a donation, the links are in the description. Before we start, a quick shout out. I received my copy of the game Firefight free from the developer Sean O'Connor. He's been assisted with graphics, data and sound, all of which are fantastic, but is otherwise a one-person coding and development team for this game and has done a fantastic job. During each of the battles, I will be using German tactics taken from the publication The German Squad in Combat. Thanks to the Ike Skelton Combined Arms Research Digital Library for making this publication available online. This text is the translation of the greater part of a German handbook designed to aid in squad training. To illustrate German tactics, we will use the Eastern Front expansion to Firefight. In the Eastern Front expansion to Firefight, you can play battles as Axis or Soviet forces across 9 maps on the Eastern Front from 1941 to 1945, with 8 different battles on each map. While these are all unconnected single missions, I have constructed the Barbarossa campaign from the earliest German missions on each map. Of course, Firefight started with maps and battles for the Western Front with the Germans, British, Americans and French. If you're interested, you can watch my Battle of France campaign where I play as the French. This game has very simple controls. In fact, you're looking at the entire manual. But this is all you need, and the rest is up to you. Before we commence the action in the next episode, let's review the key early war Russian weapon systems we can expect to encounter in the game. Later in the war, both sides would produce terrifying weapons, the German King Tigers and the Soviet Joseph Stalins. But I want to see how the smaller vehicles of the early war period compete against each other. This is what we can expect from the Soviets. Infantry weapons, anti-tank guns, armoured cars, light tanks, heavy tanks, finally, a quick refresher on Operation Barbarossa. Operation Barbarossa, or the Axis invasion of the Soviet Union, commenced on 22 June 1941. The invasion represented a significant horizontal escalation in World War II, bringing the Soviet Union into the war on the Allied side. Barbarossa remains the largest land offensive in human history, with around 10 million combatants taking part. Over the course of the operation, over 3.8 million Axis soldiers invaded the Western Soviet Union along a 2,900-kilometre front. This remains the largest invasion force in the history of warfare. The invasion force consisted of over 3 million German soldiers and almost 700,000 Axis soldiers from countries such as Finland and Romania. The Germans expected to rapidly defeat a Soviet army weakened by purges in the officer corps and recently defeated by the smaller Finnish army in the Winter War. Kick in the door and the whole rotten structure will come crashing down. At first, these predictions seemed accurate. Surprise was achieved, along with air supremacy, and the Soviet command structure paralysed, much like the French in 1940. The first few weeks saw rapid advances, large territorial gains, and huge numbers of Soviet casualties and prisoners. but Soviet counterattacks began as early as July, and the advances gradually slowed. The Battle of Moscow began on 30 September 1941 with the Germans launching Operation Typhoon. But by the 2nd of December, the Germans had advanced as far towards Moscow as they ever would during the war. The German plan for a quick victory was dashed, and the war continued in the largest theatre of military operations in history until the German defeat in May 1945. So, that is the introduction to the Firefight Eastern Front expansion and the Barbarossa campaign. Next episode, the fighting starts in earnest with the opening salvos at the crossroads at Zhuyevka. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and donate, and stay tuned for the next episode.